Hey everyone, and welcome back. So I want to do a news update today because actually there have been a couple announcements this past week, and I kind of wanted to cover them before too much time passes because I know sometimes I can miss out on a couple of announcements, and then it's like a couple of weeks later and it's like, I never covered that, did I? So definitely don't want to make that mistake here. So first up, I actually do want to mention that this month Kino is running one of their sales. Runs until April 24th, and that's always a great time to sort of stock up on a lot of Kino titles. I usually wait for their sales. I definitely have a lot of stuff in my cart, just waiting on some credit cards to roll over until the next pay period before I actually place my order. But they do have a lot of their 4K releases in the sales. So definitely worth checking out. That's over at their website, the kinolorber.com website. So I did want to mention that. Now let's get to the news. So first up, we got a couple of announcements. First one is from Blue Underground. They announced their next 4K release, and it is going to be actually Bob Clark's Death Dream, celebrating its 50th anniversary, which I'm really happy it's getting a 4K release. This is actually one that I never picked up the Blu-ray. It always been meaning to, but something back in my mind kind of was just like, I bet you they're going to put it out in 4K. So I sat on it. Definitely happy that I did. Now it is slated, there's no exact release date just yet, but it is slated for later this year. Speaking of 4K, Troma is releasing their first 4K release, and I did mention this a while ago because it was in the works at the time, but now finally we have a release date at least, and slated for August 29th is a 4K box set of the Toxic Avenger films. So we'll have Toxic Avenger 1, 2, 3, and 4. It'll be an 8-disc set, so it'll have the 4K disc of each film as well as a Blu-ray. Still waiting on details. I assume they'll probably come out in the next month or two. The one thing I do know though, which I did announce before, is the fact that Vinegar Syndrome actually did do the transfers for these, so they should look really great. And also from what I remember before is that they were actually trying to create as best of an uncut version of each film as they possibly could. Now I think with the first Toxic Avenger and the last one, before the Citizen Toxie one, I believe those are pretty much intact as far as the uncut footage goes. It's 2 and 3 that have always been problematic. And they were trying to do their best, I think, depending on the way the original film elements are and all that. So while 2 and 3 may not be 100% uncut, I know that they're at least trying to. And obviously we'll find out more details down the line, but this is definitely one I'm excited for because Toxic Avenger, I think like a lot of you probably, it was my introduction to the world of Troma. And actually, I also credit Toxic Avenger in a lot of ways for really opening my eyes a lot more to sort of more over-the-top comedic horror films. So I've always had a very special place in my heart for the Toxic Avenger. So I can't wait to get that one in 4K. I can't wait to get all of them in 4K. So yeah, definitely when details are released, I will let you guys know. It is currently listed for a retail price of $139.95. I don't know if it's up for pre-order anywhere else. I do know, actually I take that back. Diabolic DVD does have it up for pre-order right now, but I don't think I've seen it anywhere else just yet. And again, I'll cover it once details are released. And for those of you who like things a little bit more extreme, coming from Unearthed Films on August 15th is the film August Underground, the original one from 2001. That'll be a Blu-ray and DVD release. And it does look like it's porting over a lot of the extras from previous releases, but it does have a couple of new ones, including a brand new audio commentary track with director Fred Vogel and Ultraviolet Magazine's Art Edinger, 10 Questions with Fred Vogel, Toe Tag Masterclass from Storyboard to Screen. Dave Parker interviews Fred Vogel, and then it looks like it ports over everything else from, I think, some previous releases. So again, that is currently slated for August 15th. Now, I believe Unearthed Films, I think might have all 3 films, so obviously cover that down the line once those get announced, but I'm pretty sure they said a while ago that they were going to release all 3, so just a heads up on that. And Severin has announced their June titles. Now some of these actually may be shipping by the end of this month if you order directly from them. Otherwise the wide release versions are slated for, I think, towards the end of June. But we have 3 new releases. I believe all of these are Blu-rays, right? Yes, Blu-rays. So the first one is Alien from the Abyss, directed by Antonio Margheriti, who did Cannibal Apocalypse, which I'm a big fan of. And so getting a new 4K scan from the original camera negative. We'll have both English mono and Italian mono as well as subtitles. Now it is region A locked, so just a heads up on that. And it does have some really, really cool extras, including From the Center of the Earth, an interview with Eduardo Margheriti, who's the director's son. The Outsider, the cinema of Antonio Margheriti, a 61-minute documentary. That's cool. That one I'm really excited to watch. Son of the Outsider, interview with with the Outsider director, Eduardo Margheriti, as well as the trailer. This next one is of, I believe, a TV show from the UK. My UK friends, definitely let me know. I'm not really too familiar with this show, so let me know if it's something worth checking out. It's the Complete Comic Strip Presents Channel 4 Films, a 3-disc Blu-ray set that has all 3 seasons and 5 specials from the comic strip. It's got a combined running time of 895 minutes. So that's definitely a lot of stuff to go through. And it's got a ton of extras here too, including The Rise of the Comic Strip, a new 93-minute documentary featuring Peter Richardson, Nigel Planner, Alexei Sale, Sandy Johnson, Oliver Stapleton, Stephen Frears, Roland Riveron, and more. Hope I pronounced couple of those names correctly. Some of these I know, some of these I don't. The Comic Strip from 1981, a 30-minute short film by Julian Temple. 30 Years of Comic Strip from 2012, a 96-minute documentary. Bad News, The Whole Sordid Story. Bad News, Bohemian Rhapsody music video. Behind the Scenes of Bohemian Rhapsody. More Bad News stories. A Bad News photo gallery, as well as a series trailer. And if you order directly from Severn, you do get this exclusive slipcover, which you can see right here. So again, the wide release version is slated for June 27th. But if you order directly from Severin, you might get it within the month, actually. Next up is an interesting one, especially when you see the exclusive slipcover under the alternate title. And this one is called Extraterrestrial Visitors, a 2-disc Blu-ray set from Juan Pierre Simon. I hope I'm pronouncing his name right, but he's the one who did Pieces, as well as the movie Slugs. So already you got my attention. It's in a restored director's cut and has gotten a new 4K scan from the original 35mm camera negative. It's going to be in both English mono and Spanish mono, as well as English subtitles, and it will be region free, which is good. And it's got a couple of really cool extras, including the Simon's Jigsaw, a journey into the universe of Juan Pierre Simon. Again, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, but it's 101-minute documentary on him, which is awesome. A Weekend in Hell, interview with actor Emilio Linder. Composing the Cosmos, interview with soundtrack composer Librado Pastor. A Private Concert from Librado Pastor. Alternate Pod People opening credits, as well as a bonus CD soundtrack single and a reversible wrap. So the reversible wrap is interesting because it does have the alternate title that it was released, and as you can see here, E.T. Extraterrestrial Visitors: The Second Coming, obviously in reference to E.T., you know, so it's like they've done that a couple times with a couple other films with alternate titles. I think the big one, I think was Cruel Jaws, that was released in other countries as, I think, Jaws 5, if I remember correctly. It was another one, I think it was like an Evil Dead 4 or something like that. I'm blanking at the moment, but yeah, they've been able to do that a couple times. And in true Severn fashion, they also have a couple bundles that you can choose from. So first up, the Friends of Trumpy bundle, limited to 200, which includes the Extraterrestrial Visitors Blu-ray, as well as a Trumpy plush, which I guess is the alien from the film, as well as a t-shirt of I'm a Virgin Islander. Okay, and that is $61, again, limited to 200. Next up is the Good News, Bad News bundle for $87. Now that doesn't come with any extras, but it does have all 3 releases in one, including the exclusive slipcover for the Bad News set. And then finally, if you want everything, for $123, you get Laugh in the Face of Fear bundle, which is limited to 300. And for that, you get all 3 releases, including the exclusive slipcover for Bad News, the plushie, and the t-shirt. So a whole lot of stuff there to choose from, depending on if you want everything. I usually try and go for some of the bundles because they can be really, really fun. Although I have no clue. I don't know if I'm going to go for this one. I have no clue what I would do with that plushie. I don't even know. I've never even seen the film. So actually, if you've seen it, definitely let me know what you think. And then finally, a 4K release from MVD Rewind. I believe this is actually their first 4K release, and it looks like they're going all out for it, and it is for Swamp Thing, the original Swamp Thing directed by Wes Craven. I know sometimes it's be easily forgotten that he actually did direct the original Swamp Thing film, and it looks like MVD definitely doesn't want to let us down with this release. They want to make sure that this 4K release really kicks off their new 4K line, which looks like they're actually kind of similar to what they did with their Blu-ray line, which sort of look like, they sort of mocked up. Some of the covers almost look like old VHS rental copies and stuff, which I always thought was fun. And for this, they're giving it sort of a like video disc design. I think they're calling it the Laser Vision Collection, but it's very similar to the video discs that came out in the early 80s. That was sort of an alternate home video release. It was kind of the precursor to Laserdisc, and the fact that they were very large, and then it was an analog format, whereas Laserdisc obviously was digital. But Laserdisc didn't come out till the mid 80s. So video discs weren't around too long. We're on for a couple years, but they're kind of going with that sort of classic design, which I really, really get a kick out of. I'm kind of glad that they're going this way, because it does make it unique. And even they said that they wanted to give their 4K line a different look than their Blu-ray line, and I think they achieved it. So there are going to be 2 releases of it. It's actually going to be a 4K release that will also include a Blu-ray, and then a Blu-ray only release. Now the Blu-ray in both sets will be region A locked, so just as a heads up on that going through. Luckily again, 4K region free. So the 4K set retails for $49.95, and the Blu-ray is $39.95. As you can see from the picture, they use the original poster artwork for the cover. It's going to have a nice slip case, which I really, really like. Again, sort of mimicking that video disc look, as well as a poster. As you can see there, the Blu-ray has 1 disc, and then the 4K has a 4K disc as well as the Blu-ray as well. And the slipcover is in the first pressing only, so just a heads up on that. Enough of my rambling, let's get into the details of it. So it is getting a brand new 4K scan from the original camera negative. It's going to be in Dolby Vision HDR, and we'll have the original theatrical mono soundtrack as well as an alternate Spanish mono soundtrack. Now the key to this release, though, before I get into the extras, is the fact that yes, it will have both versions of the film. It's going to have the US theatrical PG version as well as the unrated international version. Now, for those of you who don't know, there's a little bit of controversy because other companies have tried to release the international version here in the States before, but they couldn't quite kind of snag the rights to it. Now, the big difference between the two, well, there's one big difference. Technically 2, if you want me to say a bad joke. But I think there's a little bit more. I'm just not 100% sure. But obviously, probably the main difference is the fact that in the uncut version, there is a topless scene for Adrienne Barbeau, which obviously for a lot of us is reason enough to seek out that version. But I think there's also a couple extra minor seconds of gore that I think is not in the PG version. I could be wrong about that. Maybe it is only the topless scene, actually. But that's kind of the main difference between the two. But obviously for a lot of us, that's good enough reason to, skip the PG version. So happy they were able to secure the rights for both cuts for this release. And they are porting over all of the pre-existing extras, include, as far as I could tell, I was going through everything, and it looks like all the extras from the Scream Factory special edition are also included in this set. And it does look like it has a couple of new ones. I think I'm not 100% sure what's new and what isn't. So I'm just going to go through everything. So we do have 2 commentary tracks, which are ported over. And these are on the PG version. First one is with Wes Craven, moderated by Sean Clark. And the other one is with makeup effects artist William Munns, moderated by Michael Felsher. Again, both of those are on the PG cut. And then there's a couple of interviews, including Tales from the Swamp, an interview with actress Adrienne Barbeau. Hey Jude with actor Reggie Batts. That Swamp Thing with Len Wein, creator of Swamp Thing. Swamp Screen, designing DC's main monster featurette. From Krug to Comics, how the mainstream shaped a radical genre voice featurette. Posters and lobby cards, photos from the film, William Munn's behind-the-scenes pictures, behind-the-scenes photos by Jeffrey Rail, as well as the theatrical trailer. So this is one I'm super happy about. I did hear that this was getting a 4K release, but just wasn't sure from whom, because I think this was kind of speculated a little bit a while ago. And obviously a lot of us sort of assume, well, maybe it was Scream Factory, because they did put out the Blu-ray several years ago. It was actually, I think, one of their early releases, if I remember correctly. But I am happy MVD is putting this out. And obviously, like I said before, it does look like they're putting all their effort into it. Now, if I can make just 2 suggestions to MVD of something just to keep an eye out for, and I want to make a big deal about this. It's just but it is something that for some reason it seems to be creeping up lately, and I kind of want to get ahead of it so it doesn't become a problem. But I just, because I've now had 3 releases that have a little bit of clipping, not from MVD, but from different companies. So I want to just make sure that MVD does do the HDR pass correctly and avoid clipping in the highlights and in the low end. of the picture. And also, please don't skimp out on compression. Find someone who knows how to do proper compression for 4K, because you don't want to spend all this time and money doing an amazing restoration only to have it be ruined by bad compression. So please, please do proper compression. I beg you. Other than that, I'm pretty sure they're going to do a proper job with Swamp Thing in 4K. And again, that is slated for July 25th. So definitely a good mix of different kinds of titles for these announcements. This year is really shaping up to be a really interesting year on stuff that we're getting, which is really, really good for those of us who, again, love physical media. And it's, you know, a sign that, you know, these companies are not giving up on physical media by any means. And of course, I will push and support physical media until I literally can't anymore, which hopefully isn't for a very long time. Because I don't want to get depressing like at the end of the video. I mean that, like, you know, hopefully for many, many decades to come, I can be like, you know, physical media. So yeah, happy positive stuff. So let me know your thoughts on these releases and if you're planning to get any of them. And as always, thank you for watching, and I will see you on the next one.